In response to many of our posts about the injustice of the Eddie Jones warehouse approval, we keep hearing the same responses that the city approved a project with reduced scope that is now more in line with a light industrial use case, or that the developer really made efforts to listen and accommodate the community, or that there are already developments this large in Oceanside. Jimmy Figueroa says he voted for the modified concept. In fact, in a statement he sent to CBS 8 News, he mentions this modified concept. What he doesn't mention, however, is that the administrative record shows that the developer refused to modify the environmental impact report to reflect this modified concept with fewer truck bays when asked by the city staff. It's comical that his statement says it's not a distribution center. The name of the project on the application is literally the Eddie Jones Warehouse Manufacturing and Distribution Facility Project. Does he really not know the full name of the project that he voted on? On August 6th, he deliberately called out that he appreciates that the developer listened to the community.
I appreciate the developer listening to the community and being willing to reduce the truck bays by another 20%. What initially started as 116 truck bays, which was something that I couldn't agree with or be aligned with, even the 56.
So he says himself that he couldn't be aligned with the full number of truck bays, yet he certified the original EIR for all of them anyway. The Eddie Jones project is proposing a 497,000 square foot industrial complex with 28 trucking terminals, enabling almost 5x the trucking capacity of the current zoning, with potential for up to 114 trucking terminals that were analyzed in the original environmental impact report, which he approved. To quote from the city's own denial findings, which were published after the city council granted the community appeal and thus rejected the Eddie Jones warehouse on May 21st, 2025, the city council finds there is substantial evidence in the administrative record to support the findings that A, granting a conditional use permit to allow distribution and storage building facilities with a floor area greater than 50,000 square feet and trucking terminals with more than 6 heavy trucks on the premises at one time is inconsistent with the general plan. Rick Robinson also confirmed that the original warehouse proposal was unworthy of community support, yet he certified the environmental impact report for this unworthy proposal anyway.
The developer came forward with an original project, which in all honesty was not worthy of the community support.
Similar to Jimmy Figueroa, it's unclear whether he's playing dumb to accommodate the developer here, or if he's just ignorant and doesn't realize the implication of his vote when he rejected the community appeal. Both Jimmy Figueroa and Rick Robinson refer to their belief that they voted for the modified proposal, where the developer reduced the number of truck bays from 114 to 34 and then 28. Yet when you review the administrative record of internal communications among city staff, it reveals that when the city staff asked the developer if they would reduce the number of truck bays in the environmental impact report to reflect this promise to the community, the developer refused, saying they wanted to preserve flexibility in case a future tenant needed the original number. The city staff noted internally, the applicant obviously wants the EIR to analyze the maximum intensity of the proposed project to avoid a need to revise the EIR in the event a future tenant needed 114 truck bays. Beyond the shock that the city staff still went on to recommend this project for approval, even though they knew the developer was pitching an empty promise to the community, the city staff went on to note that the EIR did not base its analysis on truck bays anyway. Rather, it's only public perception that reducing truck bays will reduce the environmental impact of the project. So to reiterate, the city knowingly misled the community and apparently its own decision makers too, to believe that reducing truck bays would reduce the environmental impact of the project. Further, Peter Weiss likes to remind everyone that there are comparable projects in other Oceanside locations.
Thank you, Mayor. And I would just like to say, when people say it's the wrong place for the wrong project, if you go up to Ocean Ranch, there's Magna Flows, Suja Juice. They're all similar to what this is going to be.
Notice what's happening here. Peter Weiss is using other exceptions that exist in Oceanside to justify the vote for the Eddie Jones project. The logic that we already have mega warehouses in Oceanside, why not approve more, is flawed for this project for a couple reasons. One, this project sits directly on the protected wetland of the San Luis Rey River, only 2 miles from the ocean. And two, This demonstrates the domino effect of industrial creep in Southern California. Eddie Jones will set the precedent for future developments here in Oceanside. Imagine what comes next if 3 of 5 city council members approve a 500,000 square foot shell industrial complex with no known tenant or known operational use case right next to a protected wetland only 2 miles from the ocean. In fact, even the city themselves call out the problem with this. Per the city's denial findings, the proposed project exceeds the size and scale of existing industrial development in the area. So here we have a direct contradiction to what both Jimmy Figueroa and Peter Weiss have said to justify their vote in referencing other comparable projects in Oceanside. There is no similarly sized project near the Eddie Jones land. The variety of light industrial businesses that surround this site range in size from 6,000 to 16,000 square feet. Peter Rice references projects in the Ocean Ranch community, a corporate business park located further inland, not a plot of land that sits directly on the San Luis Rey River. Jimmy Figueroa will try to call out the further reduction of truck bays as the reason why he changed his vote and essentially stole the appeal from the community. But as already mentioned, the number of truck bays means nothing. Nothing in terms of the developer's commitment to the community, and nothing in terms of the overall impact as explained in the internal communications among city staff. What a mess. When looking at these findings holistically like that, I don't think Peter Weiss, Rick Robinson, or Jamie Figueroa could ever have a solid argument on why they voted to approve the Eddie Jones warehouse. Join us in our fight for accountability and transparency in local government. Check our link on our channel or scan the QR code to learn more about Oceanside Speaks Out.